Well, good morning. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's video, that walk along the Wyzig Road, but for me it was very, very hot because I was walking in the afternoon sun, and I've decided today, which is Thursday the 13th of February, that I would come out a little bit earlier, and the time is 11:45, if you can see that. So a little bit later than I planned. I was hoping that I would be able to come out earlier, but had one or two little jobs to do today before I could get out, and now I'm just going to enjoy a drink. Cheers. And today's video, we're going to be starting to take a look at the Kamala area, because this area is very popular with both tourists and expats that want to live in Phuket. So I thought we'd start off with the main road, first of all, that runs right through the middle of Kamala. Have a look along here, because this is an area that most people will visit, because there's a high concentration of restaurants along here and supermarkets, etc. There's also accommodation along the main road as well that may be a little bit cheaper than on the beachfront. Obviously, if you're staying here long term, beachfront accommodation is going to work out very expensive. If you're a tourist, of course, I understand you're going to want to stay near to the beach or as close as possible. So we're going to take a look at this main road, and then in the coming weeks I will cover more of the Kamala area so you get a better look at it. I have, of course, covered the beach area many times before. We shall look at it at some point, but not today. We're just going to concentrate on the main road. I'm going to finish my drink, and then we will make our way up to the one end of the main road and walk all the way along so you can get a better idea. Topic today is cost of living, so that's what I'm going to be talking about as we walk through Kamala. So I've made my way to the end of the main road. Just behind me is the Oceana and also the road that leads up to Patong. In front of me is the main area of Kamala, and we're going to walk down on the right hand side and take a look at this area. I have noticed quite a few new things opening and a couple of things closing down as well, which is a bit of a shame. Now just here, there used to be a small restaurant that me and Nat used to eat, particularly for breakfast in the mornings or lunchtime, but it's gone. In the last few months, it's gone. And what has opened up in the meantime is Villa Market, which is a supermarket. They carry a lot of foreign or imported foods. They are one of the more expensive supermarkets, so bear that in mind. Of course, you've got that nice big hotel there. And then we're going to start to head along the main road. Now, tops here is another supermarket, a large supermarket. So 2 new supermarkets in the last 12 months have opened up here. There's a McDonald's, a King Kebab, quite a few new facilities, but a real shame about that small restaurant, because I used to really enjoy their food and it was very, very cheap indeed. Now, of course, if you're coming over here to stay long term, you're going to be interested in the cost of living. So I'm going to give you a typical day spending for myself. Now, one of the reasons why I don't tend to do too much cost of living videos is because really they're not very accurate, only for the person that's doing it. Now, this bus stop, I thought I'd mention it while I'm here.
You're English?
Yes, I English.
You say bus stop.
This is a bus, it used to be a bus stop, but I think it is a bus stop. The smart bus and the blue bus.
Because I have to know, today is Thursday, eh?
Yes.
Today. I have to go Saturday to the airport.
Okay. So you need to be on the other side of the road then?
Yes, the guy said.
Yeah, you need to be over there. Now, exactly where the bus stop is along here, I think it's there. You can just see the sign. You see on the post? You can see the bus stop sign there.
Where? No, I don't.
Straight in front where your finger is pointing.
Yeah?
Yeah, you see the power cable?
Yeah.
You see the blue sign on it, blue and white? It says bus stop.
Blue green.
Yeah, well, yeah.
No, okay, and there.
It's there.
But
So
the
where
bus-
where that yellow tuk-tuk is, you see the yellow and black tuk-tuk? The taxi in front? Yeah, you
the
see that?
yellow. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's the bus stop. So you need to catch it there. If you walk across the road, there's a timetable on there. I can see below.
Thank you.
It will tell you the times of the smart bus.
Well, the only thing is that not a problem, that I find a taxi. I am in the Hotel Shabana.
Okay.
It's in the beginning of there.
Yes.
It's for walk, nothing but with a suitcase.
Yeah, maybe you can just get a taxi for that short distance, and then hop onto the bus, the smart bus. It's
And
100 baht.
What is the gap every day? About an every hour, every half hour?
Normally they run around about one every hour, but I would go and have a look at the timetable, and then that'll be sure.
That'll be very good. Thank
Okay,
you.
no problem at all. Enjoy your day.
Where are you from?
Originally from the UK, but I live here now.
Okay, I'm Dutch.
Ah, okay, nice to meet you.
Trump, yes or no?
For me, no. Whereabouts in Holland?
Pardon?
Whereabouts in the Netherlands are you from?
Rotterdam.
Rotterdam. Very nice place. I've been there many times. Yes,
Okay.
very nice.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Okay, if I can help somebody, I always will. So yeah, I was about to say that that's the bus stop. Obviously, if you're catching the smart bus or the blue buses and you're going that way, that will take you in the direction of Patong, and ultimately, if you're on the blue bus, you will go to Phuket town that way. Obviously, if you're looking like that gentleman there was looking to go to the airport, then you need to be on the other side of the road, so on the same side as Villa Market, and the smart bus will run down there and that will take you to the airport. That's if you want to catch the bus. But it is a cheap way of going to the airport. Of course, the smart bus, which is just 100 baht per trip. Nice new supermarket. That's not been open for very long, and a place where you can get some lunch, some food and money exchange. So quite good facilities now here in Kamala. Now I was going to talk about my daily sort of cost of living. Let's just wait until this ambulance has gone past. So I'm going to give you my typical day's spend. Now this is for both myself and Nat, so it'll give you a rough idea. But as I've said, it's something that I don't often talk about, cost of living, because it's relevant to the person, not to everybody, because we all live differently, we all eat different things, we all like different things, etc. So these can affect the costs. Now this area here is where the market's held, or one of the markets, because there's now two markets. I have covered the second market that's opened up here in Kamala, which is the other end, and I've done that on the channel, so go and check that video out if you're interested. But this is another market that takes place 2 or 3 times a week in this area. So normally for breakfast, if I'm eating out, I will spend roughly around 100 baht, maybe a little bit less. So together, me and Nat, we normally spend about 150 baht for breakfast. Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, depending on, of course, what we're eating. I mean, we normally have pork sticky rice, what other things? Sometimes we have dim sum for breakfast. You'll see on the diary that I'm doing, what I'm doing for breakfast. You'll see sometimes we'll go to the little coffee shop that Nat's found, and I mean the coffee's there. I normally have a latte, which is like 40 baht. If I go to Amazon, the same coffee will cost me 65 baht. So there's a little comparison for you. But normally a typical breakfast is at around 100 baht. You don't really need to spend more than that. Obviously you can if you want to. This is Thai food. That's what I'm talking about now. I'm talking about your typical Thai food, because their idea of breakfast is not the same as a Westerner's idea. So they just tend to have a meal. It can be, when I first started coming out here, it was a little bit, not a shock to the system, but a little bit different for me, because Typically in the UK I'd be used to having cereals and maybe a bacon sandwich, that type of thing for breakfast, but here typically the Thais tend to have a normal meal. They don't have certain meals. Some foods like dim sum they tend to have in the morning more than in the evening time, but typically the Thais will have rice noodle. That's quite cheap. You can get that for 60-70 baht, a bowl of rice noodle, that type of food. And then we tend to go out, as I mentioned on the last video, quite a bit because it works out cheaper, to be honest, and it's less hassle as well. And with Nat, sometimes she finishes late, she don't want to come home and start cooking. So we tend to go out a lot, and for an evening meal we typically spend between 200 to 300 baht between us. That's for both of us. Again, it does vary a little bit, but on average that's the sort of cost we're sort of spending. So if you say 200 baht for breakfast and 300 baht for evening meal, 500 baht a day. That's what we typically spend. I mean, of course, some days we spend more and some days we spend a little bit less because maybe I have breakfast at home, I have some toast or some cereal, whatever the case may be that we've already got in stock. So on average, we're spending around 500 baht on food a day. So that's not including any bills or any rent or anything like that you may have to pay. And if you work that out over a month, that's going to be about 15,000 baht, typically for the two of us. So if you allow 20,000 baht and you're single, then that's going to be more than enough. Of course, you can live for less than that. I'm not saying you can't, but what I'm talking about here is just food and drink. So on top of that, you would have accommodation costs. And over here in Phuket, if you're staying long term, accommodation will vary from around 12,000 baht a month up to 250,000 baht if you want to go that high. I mean, I've seen accommodation for as much as that. So a starting point would be, on average, 12 to 15,000. It really depends on your taste. You can get accommodation cheaper than that, but I mean the Thais typically pay for a very basic room without any air conditioning around 4,500 to 5,000 baht a month. But as a foreigner, you will struggle to get that accommodation because most of it's reserved for Thais only, I'll be honest with you. And they see foreigners as having more money, so they tend to charge a foreigner more. It's just one of those things that you have to accept over here in Thailand. As a foreigner, we're seen as being wealthier than Thais, even though that isn't always the case. But typically, I would say your accommodation costs are going to be anywhere from 12,000 baht upwards. Obviously, if you have a room without aircon, it's going to be cheaper, but if you've got a room that has air conditioning, it's going to cost you more for the room, and it's also going to cost you more when it comes to electricity bills. Air conditioning is one of the biggest users of electric, and that will substantially push your cost of living expenses per month up. And I've mentioned this before, our electric bill on average is around 1,500 baht a month, but we do not have the air conditioning on in the day. I mean, obviously Nat's at work, she's got a business, she's down there, she uses the aircon as and when she has customers. Let me just concentrate on getting across here so I don't get run over. But when I stay at home, I don't tend to have it on in the daytime at all. I just have on a fan. So this is something you've got to take into consideration. Of course, if you struggle with the heat, then you may need air conditioning more, and that will cost you more. A friend of mine, his typical electric bill, just his electric bill, is on average 10,000 baht a month. Some months more than that, because he has his aircon on all the time, nearly all night long and most of the day. So because of that, his bills are a lot more expensive. So this is something that you have to consider. Obviously, you've got the sort of average for food, and then you've got your rent to take into consideration, unless of course you're buying. If you're coming out here, maybe you've got a Thai wife and you're going to be buying somewhere when you move out here. So you may not have that expense if you can afford to buy it outright. Little bar here, they do duck in. This is well known here in Kamala. Quite a busy little place at night. I will try and get across and film this place, Kamala, at night time as well as in the daytime. I know I keep saying it. Now this place, I was just talking to the girl here, sorry cab, this is open 24 hours a day. So if you're here in Kamala and you fancy a bite in the middle of the night, then this is the place to come. And the prices are not too bad. I had a quick look, they've got some specials, etc. on the board, as you can see, and tacos, pizzas, and burger combinations. It's like a bit of a style of the American diner. I haven't tried it yet, but I think I'm going to try it. I've got some nice cakes as well in the cabinet, I noticed. So that'll help you with some of the costs and give you a broad guideline. As I say, we're all different on what we like. You know, you may go and look at a room that's 10,000 baht and you might not like it. So you might end up having to spend 18,000 baht a month to get what you like. It just depends on you, what you spend. And again, with eating and drinking over here, as I've shown over the years, many times, you can eat very cheaply. However, you can also spend a lot of money as well on food. I do not drink a lot of alcohol. I have the occasional beer. I don't go out all the time. I don't smoke. So these help with my cost of living to keep it down. If you're a heavy smoker and you like a beer, then that's your choice, but it's going to cost you more. You know, these things will add to your cost of living bills per month, because people do ask all the time about cost of living over here. You can live very cheaply. Now, the days of living as cheap as the Thais, especially here in Phuket, are gone, I'll be honest with you, because the problem that we have over here is a lot of the Thais see foreigners as having a lot of money. And this has been partly brought on by tourists, because they come over here when they're on holiday, they've got a pocket full of money, they splash the money around, they go and buy something and they get told, oh, it's 200 baht, and then they turn around and say, oh, why so cheap? So over a period of years, Thais have seen this behaviour and thought, we need to charge more money because they can afford to spend more. And this is what's happening. So cost of living over here has risen, particularly since COVID. It has jumped up quite a lot, and you're going to notice this in supermarkets. The price of vegetables, meats, etc. have all gone up. Even petrol has risen substantially since I've been out here in the last 6 years. It has gone up. It was a lot cheaper when I first came over here. It was about 22, 23 baht a litre. On average now, it's roughly around 35 baht a litre, so just over 10% rise, if my maths is correct, in 5 years. It's not a great deal of money, but it all adds to the cost of living. It's all going to make a difference. So there are price rises. We are now seeing petrol stabilising, and which I'm glad at, because at one point it was going up a few stang every day. Now a few stang is less than a baht, but when it's going up every single day for months on end, it does have an effect after a while. And again, with things like chicken, pork, beef, all these things have gone up substantially over the last sort of 5 years. You know, they've all increased since I moved out here. And this does add extras to your bill. Markets used to be a very, very cheap place to go and do shopping, you know, buy fresh vegetables, fresh meat to cook at home. But now they're not so cheap. Oh, banana fritters. I've got to do a thing on these. There's a place in Caron that Nat's been going to for nearly 20 years, and they're absolutely fantastic. You can see here, you get eight for 20 baht, 12 for 30 baht, and that's something you gotta try. And this is a banana inside rice. It's quite what's the word that I'm looking for? Time-consuming thing to actually make, but it's very, very nice. I really like those. Really nice to see that on the streets. So if you get a chance, try those banana fritters. They got sesame seeds. It's basically a banana covered in batter with sesame seeds. Really, really delicious snack, especially if you've got a coffee or a tea handy. I normally buy them in Caron with Nat, and we go around to the Amazon Cafe, get a coffee and sit there eating the banana fritters. So hopefully that's going to give you a little bit of a price guide. Again, you know, no two people live the same, as I've mentioned, so you can easily spend more than 500 baht a day on food. Let's hope I'm not going to get run over. I'm going to quickly move here. You can easily spend it. You can spend 500 baht on just one meal in some places here in Thailand, in Phuket. But on average, we live a normal average sort of life. We don't go mad all the time. Sometimes we'll go somewhere and, you know, push the boat out, so to speak, spend a little bit of money, but not every day. And if you're living here, then you have to be more realistic. Unless you've got a bank full of money, then you can be a little bit more outrageous with what you spend. But we tend to try and look after the money. So on average, we're spending about 15 to 20,000 a month just on food. Nice little restaurant there. Indian food, is it? It looks like it. Yeah, could be. Oh, Moroccan food. So it says Moroccan there. Moroccan food. I'm not seeing that. Not really got a menu outside, so only that I can show you. It looks a nice little restaurant inside. Now, I was out with Nat last night and we went over to the big Robinson's shopping mall. And as we pulled up, I noticed the motorbike parking was absolutely rammed. And I said to Nat, is there something going on here at Robinson's? Because it seems awfully busy. And Nat says, no, it's been very hot today, so a lot of people come to the shopping malls. And I say, well, why do they do that? She said, well, a lot of Thais, they don't have air conditioning in their rooms where they live. And of course, the shopping malls are fully air conditioned. And I said, really? And she said, yeah, they come to cool down and obviously just walk around. They don't necessarily buy anything. They might buy some food or a drink, but they're really going there for the air conditioning. So that's something to think about. If you're over here as a long stay resident, I thought, well, actually, that's not a bad idea, because you could go into, say, an Amazon Cafe. You've got free Wi-Fi there. Sit, have a coffee, have the benefit of their air conditioning without using it in your own room. So if that's something you struggle with, I don't personally now struggle too much with the heat. I do when I'm out like this and I'm walking in it. Of course, it's very, very hot. But normally when I'm at home, I just have the fan on and that's fine for me. I have the doors open and that's fine. But I know my friend, he really struggles with the heat, so he needs the air conditioning on all day. And that can be very costly. So if you're on a tighter budget, then that might be a little tip that you can do. Go over and spend 3 or 4 hours at the local shopping mall, sit there, have a coffee, use the Wi-Fi, you can use your phone, your computer, and you're getting the benefits of the air conditioning, so you're not hot